Hi everyone, it's Theresa with Crafty with Theresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, welcome to my Sheetload of Cards video for March. I know I recently put out the February video, but I'm trying to get caught up and stay on track. I won't be going over the dimensions and the cuts because those are available on Alicia's website. I've added that in the description box below for you. So hop on over to her site and check out her cards and some variations provided by her design team. So I'm still working with the Sweet Memories paper packet. Today you'll see I created a set of Mother's Day cards with these papers. I stayed with a monochromatic look, and you'll see a few tips along the way today. So let's get to crafting. First, because today we'll actually be doing some watercoloring, I'm going to actually start the watercoloring first. I've already cut all of my papers and put each one of those pattern papers in the card base and the envelope, that way they're ready to go. We'll start with the watercolor so that we can give it some time to dry. Now I will sometimes use alcohol, and I use the 90% alcohol to speed up the watercoloring process. But today I did not have to do that because these are small items. We're actually going to be coloring the bouquet of flowers and the heart, and they'll dry quickly. I'm going to grab the watercolor markers that I have on hand. I actually love this set. There are so many different colors to choose from. So here's a look at the markers that I have. They have two different tips. One is a fine point tip and the other is a brush marker tip. I created a color chart here, and I have actually numbered each one of the markers to match the color chart. I'll grab a block and just using my brush tip marker, add some color to that block. I'll grab my watercolor blender pen and squeeze just a little bit of water out onto the block and start coloring. I am not a watercolor expert, but I love it. It is so relaxing to me. I generally do it lightly at first and then go back in and do some shading later. I'm literally going to do all the coloring with this one marker because my goal is to make them monochromatic cards. I think these are very elegant for Mother's Day, so I'm basically coloring them lightly to give this first round some time to dry. Now I'll finish up the heart real quick. I sped this up. It's the same process. I'm just lightly brushing the color onto the cardstock. In this case, I decided to darken the bow and a little around it to make it stand out a little bit more. I am loving how this is turning out so far. Now a quick tip for you. I will also grab some paper towels, take a couple paper towels, cut them up into little squares, and I have those sitting by my desk. You just never know when you might need one. I use them many times for removing glue, or in this case I'll be dabbing some water off of anything that I get just a little too heavy-handed. I put these in a little container that I use for my cleaning, chamois, and my embossing buddy. Seems like when I'm videotaping is when I need them the most. So here you see that I did have to go in and dab off some of that excess water. So once the first round of watercoloring has dried, I'll take my marker, and on the side where I have the marker brush tip, I'll grab just a little bit of it with my watercolor blender and go over those areas that I want a little darker. Now that we have the watercoloring done, let's go ahead and get the papers lined up. Now I like to show you different ways to do things. That way you can choose what works best for you. So here's another tip for lining up your pattern papers. I cut out a piece of copy paper that is the same size as the two pattern papers width in this case. Wow, that's a tongue twister. I will line up the two pieces. And you know me, if I don't like them and it doesn't turn out just right, I'll just flip it over and cut the excess off of the one side. Now I did decide to bring in the black color because I liked that as a background color for this mulberry color, plus I wanted to use it for my sentiment. So that gave me the opportunity to add a separation between those two papers, and I love using my Love from Lizzie strips to do that. So I've added that separation in between those two papers. Another tip, I almost always use some adhesive and some glue. The glue makes me double sure it will stay in place. I generally put it around the edges, but it also helps me if I need to have some wiggle room when placing that pattern paper onto the background piece. Now all we need to do is just add all the items onto the card base. I did lose some of the footage here. I didn't see my camera turn off, so I apologize for that. But you've seen me do this. I just add them and glue them down with the adhesive and the glue. Here are the two different versions. Very elegant, I think. Now I mentioned some upcoming items, so I wanted to give you just a sneak peek at the papers I'll be using for my upcoming card videos. One will be what I call a sidestep card, and the other fun fold will be a mystery. Just kidding. I have heard it called different things, so I'll let you decide when you see it what it should be called. You see the striped paper? I plan to use this paper for an upcoming ice cream card, but here's the catch. We'll be enhancing the ice cream with my Frugal Day Any Day video creation, which will be using shaving cream, acrylic paint, glue, and some rice. Can you guess what that'll be? So stay tuned. Thank you again for joining me, and until next time, have a great day.